And Nate just gave me the movement for a vision for Black Lives. This is from the Movement for Black Lives. Policy demands for black power, freedom, and justice. And this is a great summary of, this is from policy.m4bl.org. And number one, end the war on black people. We demand an end to the war against black people. Since this country's inception, there have been named and unnamed wars on our communities. We demand an end to the criminalization, incarceration, and killing of our people. Number two, reparations. We demand reparations for past and continuing harms. The government, responsible corporations, and other institutions that have profited off the harm they have inflicted on black people.
Okay. You know, they had me on the first point. But reparations is a loser. You're never going to get anybody to say, oh, I'm willing to give up my money and just hand it over to you. I mean, that's just, you might as well try and rob them at gunpoint. It's just ridiculous. You need to stop doing that. Now, if by reparations they mean like income equality, if by reparations they mean raise us up out of poverty, that's fine. But don't call it reparations. Call it building. See, I'm completely against, for one thing, you know, I mean, I'm not a Republican, but I'm against robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know, I'm against tearing things down, like basically just taking things away from one people and then giving it to another. No, you build. So you've got the rich over here, the middle class here, and then you've got the poor. Well, you build the poor. You build them up until they're no longer considered poor, they're in the middle class, and then all you've got is the rich and the middle class. Then you might want to think about building up the middle class to the point where they're all in the rich, and then everybody's rich. But you don't tear down. So, and what I'm talking about, to be clear, is lifestyles. I'm not saying you don't take power away from the rich. They've clearly misused, they've clearly abused their power. They're clearly in it just for themselves. They're greedy. So that's what you take away from them. You don't take away, per se, their money and just give it to the, you know, you don't just take away the billions, the trillions, whatever, that the rich have and just dump it on the black community. That's not even going to be a solution. Because in the end, all that money will go, if it takes 100 years, and there'll be a couple of rich black guys out of it. And the rest of the blacks will be poor again. And you don't just take people who are jealous and just give them what they want. It's hard for me to put this into words, because I don't think I have the proof for it or a way to articulate it, but it's wrong. It's wrong to do that, and it's not wrong because I support greed or anything like that. It's wrong because we can do it in another way that makes a lot more sense. So like I say, I mean, for me, the ideal thing to do right now would be to tell rich people, look, you're eliminated from the economy and from politics. you're eliminated. What we'll give you in return is we will guarantee you your lifestyle for you and your family in perpetuity. So for as long as there's an America, United States government, the people who have millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, will be guaranteed to all the things that those millions of dollars give them. So that's security, education for their kids, best schools, all that kind of crap, best health care, all that kind of stuff. We'll guarantee you that. That way they can't complain, right? They can't say, well, we're taking money away from them. No, we're not. We're guaranteeing them. We're giving them something even better than what their millions and billions and trillions, whatever it is. We're giving you a guarantee that as long as this country is in existence, you will be able to maintain your lifestyle. What we do take away from them is their companies. Without the fear, with all that security we give with our guarantee, they don't need their companies anymore. They don't need it to make the money that they made. With those guarantees, they don't need the political power. What business do them as a tiny little minority have telling? I mean, I'm not saying that they can't participate on the same level as everybody else. You know, they can have their opinions, but they can't own 50% of the broadcasting in the country and things like that. So all that goes. And no, I don't say give it to black people. I say give it to the American people. And black people should benefit from these policies that I'm suggesting, and just like everybody else. I mean, no, it should definitely be colorblind. But if you do it the other way, and you just give it to, say, black people who are insisting on reparations for having been slaves, which I have to tell you, man, a lot of people came over as indentured servants. They were so desperate they came over that way. A lot of people who were captured and put into slavery were actually better off. So I'm not saying I'm not speaking like a racist, saying that that's what happened all the time. But I am saying, well, for instance, most black people who were sent to the United States as slaves didn't leave after they were freed, even though they're essentially slaves now. It's just economic slavery, which can often be worse than regular slavery. But they're sticking it out here for some reason, right? Well, it's because they're Americans. We're all Americans. We don't need people telling us, well, why don't you go to Cuba and stuff like that? Because we're Americans. You know, it's our home. So I say we make it for all people, even though essentially you're lifting minorities first, more or less, because they're the worse off on the aggregate, on the whole. So in a way, you are giving reparations, but you're not doing it simply as here, these people's great-great-grandparents screwed you, so we're going to find a funny way through the government to take their money away from them and give it to you, like a lawsuit, you know. That's just ignorant, man. You can't get away with that. You're never going to get away with that. These people would fight to the death rather than let you just take what they have. And that's what you're suggesting. You're suggesting the government take their money, take their taxes, and give it to you because, and and you're trying to say that, oh, because the system was created slavery and therefore the system should pay you back. But that's not really what you're talking about, is it? You're talking about taking taxpayer money and giving it to you as reparations. No, that's not going to work, man. We can take taxpayer money and we can make every poor person, get every poor person, regardless of color, out of I mean, it'd be nice just to get them out of slavery, this economic slavery I'm talking about. So, you know, while this thing with Black Lives, Movement for Black Lives, MBL, we already have Black Lives Matter. This is like having ICE on top of the INS, Immigration National, you know, it's a thuggery. And this thing called Movement for Black Lives, that's, as soon as I see reparation, I know what we're talking about. And you know what? If you coddle people like that, if you were to actually let them have their way and just take money from white people and give it to black people, all you do is start a little mini civil war in this country. And you'd definitely be given all kinds of ammo to the white nationalists and the right wing and the secessionists. God, the secessionists. My ex-girlfriend down in Texas is a member of the secessionist movement. I don't even know, maybe they arrested her because they arrested a bunch of Texans down in Houston for that. So, you know, so on top of everything else, it breeds hatred and division. You're just taking money from one group of people, and obviously they're going to be upset.